What's up, everybody? We are here to talk about Nine Inch Nails. They have a new album, or an EP. I don't know what you call it. It's only 5 songs. So I really wasn't even thinking about Nine Inch Nails. I haven't really thought much about them in a long time. Outside of a couple songs here or there, I'll go back and listen to. So I didn't really even know that they had a project coming out. And I just happened to come across this and I decided to check it out. And I'm glad that I did because it is really, really, really good. So I just wanted to do a quick little review on it since it is short. Let's just jump right into it and start with the first song. So the first song is called Branches, Bones. And this particular song, I love the way that it started out. It's very dark. The drum line is very, very catchy. It's a short song. It's probably the shortest track on the album. But I loved it. I loved it. It's intense. It's dark. And I like songs like that. I really did. I mean, it's a good opener. I really didn't think too much about it. Some of my favorite parts were the lyrics were very interesting on this particular song. It kind of sounded, I had to go and look up these lyrics, so it sounded like he's talking about a relationship and about possibly, going back to a toxic relationship. I don't know if this is like a literal relationship with another person or if it's like a relationship with, some kind of substance abuse or depression, because looking at the other themes throughout this album, it's very, very much cohesive and it's very much talking about one particular relationship. But I couldn't really tell if he's talking about a person or depression or a certain type of like mindset. It's kind of what I picked up. But either way, it's toxic. It's something that he wants to get out of. He feels as though, there's no hope for it. Whatever this thing is trying to change him, and he's resisting the change. So my favorite line from this particular song: cold and black and infinite, with nothing left to lose. If you try to keep the flies away, the makeup hides the bruise. Her branches are bones that break, become a perfect line, and no, he won't just be a man who's sometimes. So that was the part that kind of made me think he was talking about a relationship an abusive relationship particularly, but I'm not really sure anymore. But there is pretty much all that there is to that song. Okay, so moving on to number 2, we have Dear World, and this was my favorite song on the whole album. This song is so heavy. It is so addicting. The beat is insane. He whispers. He was whispering in my ear. I was trying to hear the words, and I'm just like, what are you saying? So that's what actually made me go and look up the lyrics, because I'm like, this dude is whispering right now. I have no idea what you're talking about. But I still love the song. My favorite breakdown is about halfway through the song, right here.
Everyone seems to be asleep.
So fire. Like, I was in here jamming out when I heard that part. I think I've played this particular song over like 8 times already. So when I looked up the lyrics, it looks like he's talking about society. I mean, it's actually pretty straightforward. He's talking about society as a whole being on a decline, people being more vain and kind of like zombies, nobody making real connections anymore. Okay, like there's a line in the song where he says, pictures and faces on display with people who aren't even there. I was like, that's pretty, pretty obvious. Everybody is obsessed with social media these days, and that seems to be the main way people communicate. So I thought that was very, very obvious. This particular song, lyric-wise, reminded me of a song by A Perfect Circle called Counting Bodies Like Sheep. And it's kind of like a doomsday anthem type of like end of world New World Order type of vibe to it. And that's what I got from this song too, which is interesting because I love that song. So, yeah, it explains why I loved this one as well so much. So going on to what is probably my second favorite song on the album, it's called She's Gone Away. This particular song, the beat once again is really, really catchy and addicting. I loved it. Overall mood of this song is just so haunted and tortured and dark and kind of like nagging, and I like songs like that. It's probably one of the longer ones on the album. I think it's almost like 6 minutes, and I really enjoyed it. My favorite beat breakdown that happens once again about halfway through was this part right here.
Yeah, I was watching on the day she died.
You know what? This particular song actually reminded me the most of old school 9 Inch Nails. In particular, my favorite song by them, Closer. It really kind of gave me those vibes. So when I looked up the lyrics, these were actually my favorite lyrics on the whole album. He's talking more about this relationship, this toxic relationship that he can't let go of. He wants to let go of. It's kind of like, you know, he's just kind of like festering in the depression that this is causing him. Spread the infection where you spill your seed. I can't remember what she came here for. I can't remember much of anything anymore. Once again, at first, I was just kind of like, okay, clearly he's talking about a woman, you know, seed and all of this kind of stuff. Like, I'm thinking of like, you know, crazy breakup sex or just something really like kind of codependent. But the more and more I'm really like thinking about this album, I don't think he's talking about a relationship with a woman. I think he's talking about relationship with depression, actually. Yeah. I really do, but I love this song. It's really good. Definitely my second favorite. To The Idea of You. Now, this particular song is a headbanger again. More whispering. I think he was whispering even softer on this song because I'm just like, what are you talking about? I had to go and look up this one. Actually, this is probably my least favorite song on the album. It's a shorter one again. I'm glad it's shorter, but there are a few parts in here that I love. Like towards the end of the song, there's a few breakdowns that are insane and are probably my favorite breakdowns on this whole album. Like this part right here. But then there was another switch up towards the beginning that I really didn't like that much. It was kind of chaotic and all over the place. Once again, Trent is an amazing storyteller. Even if I don't always care for the way a song sounds sonically, I can always appreciate his lyrics. And this song is another one. So this is where we're at the end of the relationship, I guess. He's kind of, you know, letting this thing go, and he's saying like, just remember me as my ideal self. I think that's actually a line in the song. Remember me as my ideal self. He's kind of admitting that he's a liar, that he's a deceiver, that he's not who he is supposed to be or he claims to be. And he's releasing the relationship. He says, if I start to tell you anything, please don't pay attention. That's not really me in there. I would never do that. Just go back to the idea of me. And I love that line. This was kind of between this song and the last song is where I kind of like began to really believe that he's talking about depression or, you know, some kind of substance abuse, because you know, he's talking a lot about doing things that he knows are beyond himself, that aren't his true self, but it's too late because he doesn't even really have the desire to change anymore. He just kind of has accepted himself as who he is. So that takes us into the final song on the album, actually, Burning Bright. That is what that song is all about. He's just kind of like come to this acceptance of who he is. And he actually almost had me kind of like tricked, if you will, because by the time I got to this song, the way the lyrics are structured, it sounds so almost empowering. Or he's talking about being proud of who he is and breaking chains and, you know, this fire that's in him. And I'm like, well, shit, maybe it's not bad, this person that he's become. I don't know. Once again, it's up for interpretation. And I mean, this particular song, at first, when I first listened to it, I didn't know if I liked it or not. I was really confused on it, sonically speaking. You know, I don't, and I still don't know. I don't know. It's kind of chaotic. It's kind of all over the place. But it's kind of good. It's kind of genius. Like, I actually stopped paying attention to it when I first listened to it. I ended up just doing other stuff, and I was kind of like had it on in the background because it wasn't really interesting me until I heard him come out of nowhere and say this line: "I am stronger than I have ever been in my decline." And that caught my attention. And then when I was reading the lyrics and he's talking about kind of like giving into this depression, accepting who you are but still being conflicted within it, it made more sense, and it kind of tied up the whole album. And I loved it. I guess I love it. I don't know. I guess I loved it. But that was the last song. And as a whole project, I am in love. I am absolutely in love. I'm glad that I checked this out. But this is a really, really good project. So if you are a fan of them, I'm sure you've probably already checked it out. But if not, check it out. If you're not a fan, definitely listen to this. I think it could convince you. And as far as the lyrics, you know, that's just my interpretation. I could definitely be wrong. I could, you know, be onto something. I don't know. Let me know what you guys thought about it. If any of you, you know, are like me and kind of pay attention to lyrics, like what you think he's talking about on this album. And let me know what like your favorite songs were and stuff. I'm really digging this. I'm really, really liking it. I'm gonna have this playing for a while. Anyway, thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you want to see some more music reviews. I have a lot on my list that I need to do. Metallica is still definitely gonna come, as well as some other new ones that have come out. So yeah, thanks for watching.